This is why it's ridiculous. But this is why it's ridiculous when motherfuckers are like, "Oh, AI is gonna make movies now."
Yeah,
it's like, dude,
I just read a note. I read that note and I was like, good point. You know, you have a cheaper movie and an infinitely better movie.
Dune Part 2.
I'm Denis Villeneuve, director of Dune Part 2, and this is Note on a Scene.
Dude, Hans Zimmer fucked.
Yeah.
He put
his dick.
He put his dick all over this fucking project, dude. And I was like, damn, dude, give me more, please.
Yeah, it's like one of them video games when you're like so engulfed into the actual game and then you just hear these sounds and they're so nostalgic. You play it 10 years later. Oh,
dude, he fucking Zimmered all over my Hans, dude.
Yeah. This scene is a very, very iconic.
You know how I know that scene is so good that I wanted to continue, and when it cut back to Denis, I was like, "Fuck! I wish we could watch it again."
In the novel,
it's just the music, man.
Paul Atreides will finally become a Fremen, being fully accepted by the tribe by riding a sandworm for the very first time. Riding sandworm is something that is part of the Fremen tradition. It's something that usually Fremen learn at the earlier
I read the
age.
first one.
It's one of the scenes where I tried as close as possible to the actual dialogue of the novel.
You're brave, we all know that. Be simple, be direct, nothing fancy.
Nothing fancy.
I like in that dialogue the fact that we feel strongly that Stilgar became some kind of surrogate father to Paul. That Stilgar was like part of the healing process of Paul.
Hey, I'm serious.
You should watch Incendies. Is a film also by Villeneuve about the war in Lebanon and Israel's involvement. Wait, really?
That sounds really good.
Yeah, I found out that you have an uncle from Beirut who gave you a copy, your first ever copy of Diablo 2, because of the Nardwar interview that you posted on TikTok. I didn't know you had a Lebanese family.
Yeah. My dad is Egyptian Armenian. And
yeah, you motherfuckers can't catch a break across the board, the whole family.
Yeah, I know, eh? So we have family out there. My dad's mom's side is primarily still based out there, but yeah, Leon, which is my middle name, he ended up hooking me up with D2 super early on, and he's a good guy. He has a bunch of kids and they're really cute and they love singing la 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 to me.
Does anyone have Austin's Lebanese beauty song that we have to show this Lebanese man, this Armenian Lebanese man?
Play it.
We have to. Dude, please tell me.
Oh no, you raised your eyebrows.
Oh, it's fucking, it's so bad. Austin Show cooked it up. RIP Dune video? No. We'll get back to the Dune video. Don't worry. We'll watch this video. Briefly show you
nothing fancy, or you will shame my teaching.
I won't shame you.
Music.
I understand.
Shai Hulud decides today if you become Fremen or if you die.
There's something that I absolutely love about filmmaking is things that you write, but then the actors bring something even better than I was expecting, which is I was looking for that kind of warmth, feeling a bit of humor coming from Stilgar, but the way Timothée reacts to the line makes the scene even better for me. And so the way Timothée becomes a straight man, and the way Stilgar introduced the ways of the desert to Paul, there's something about the humor that is conveyed. I thought that Timothée brought some kind of touch of humor there that I was like really pleased by. Shakopsa. In part 1, we were introduced to the Fremen language. There was a bit of it at the end of the movie. But in part 2, the character Paul Atreides and his mother Jessica immersed themselves in the Fremen culture. It was very important for me that there will be a prominent use of Shakopsa, the Fremen language. And David Peterson, linguist, behind the design of the language in the part 1, made a tremendous amount of work to bring this dialogue to the screen. It's a dialogue that is based on what the hints of what we have in the book,
9 months,
but there was a substantial...
I don't know, but I do know that it was like significantly cheaper than an MCU movie, like half the price.
Yeah.
I think it was $190 million overall cost, whereas like MCU movies.
Like
no, it wasn't. Yeah, no, it was $190 million was the cost, whereas like the Endgame was like 3 times the cost of this.
So stupid. I mean, you know that movie that those Australian twins, I can't remember their names right now, they made that Talk to Me? That shit was $5 million budget. And it cleared like 300 million in first week.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think
those guys are geniuses.
He had what Endgame Marvel peak above 300 million? The Marvels cost like 325 million. Someone said The Flash was like 300 million. Someone was talking about how the Secret Invasion was a $300 million project. It was a massive
Secret Invasion. What is that,
bro? Secret Invasion is actually such a cool plot line too, and they completely fucking boofed it. They fucked it up so hard. It was a TV show that Disney made. It was so bad.
I mean, I will say created all of them are pretty dog shit except for like Endgame.
Madam Web.
I did not see that. I heard a lot of things about it.
Yeah, you like it, and you're embarrassed to admit it. It's fine.
The movie.
Hey, Muad'Dib! Saqamudma! Jalma
Suela Yacoub is an actress that I was very excited to work with. I love actor that feels free in front of the camera, where I feel that there's no limits. Shishakli in the novel is a young man, but I wanted to increase femininity in the Fremen tribe. Why? Because Frank Herbert insists in his novel to say that there's an equality between men and women, that the women are as good fighters as men, and that the responsibility in the tribes are equality shared. But the novel, it is expressed, but doesn't show that. When the first novel came out, Frank Herbert was disappointed the way the book has been perceived.
It's so funny because Frank Herbert, I think he was like an RNC speechwriter, right? He's like a right-wing speechwriter, libertarian, old school libertarian guy. And Frank Herbert, too bad he was homophobic to his own son. Yeah, except have you seen his son's writings? But he published the book. He tried to get the book published, and no one wanted to publish it.
Interesting. Why?
No, not that son. Oh, there's a different son. My bad. No one wanted to publish it. So like a auto manual guide distributor published it. Yeah. And I think that like it took a while for it to reach like critical acclaim as well.
He felt that the reader were thinking that Dune was a celebration of Paul Atreides, but right the opposite. His intention were to make a cautionary tale, a warning toward messianic figures. And in order to correct that, this perception of the first book, he wrote another book, Dune Messiah. Like it's almost like a tiny book, like a
New Lines magazine. Frank Herbert, the Republican Salafist, the author of Dune, articulated his conservative politics not against but through his engagement with non-Western cultures. Okay, this obviously is like a little bit ridiculous of a read, because overall Dune in and of itself is like way more. It was Motherboard, not an auto mag. Wait, what? No, I thought it was like a mechanic's guide.
I mean, my first take was I feel like it kind of put a lot of people on to like the beauty of Islam.
Yeah,
right.
He was a Islamaboo for sure. American science fiction author for novel, early life, born in Tacoma, Washington. Upbringing included spending a lot of time in rural Olympic. He was fascinated by books, read much of the newspaper. He enrolled in high school, Salem. Early career, reading science fiction.
Have you seen the new movie, or the old movie?
Which one? The Lynch one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never watched it. I heard it's really fucking slow, but it is.
No, I think it's like It became a cult classic, but Lynch hates it. Like he openly changed his name, used like a different pen name in other like releases and more modern releases. He's like distanced himself. He used to hate for a period. He used to hate when people brought it up, and
it's a cult classic. I mean,
he says that like he says that like despite the fact that it's like in a more recent interview they asked him about it and they were like, well, what do you think about like it being a cult classic regardless of the fact that you've like distanced yourself very publicly from this work? And he said that it was like very important for him to understand that like he will never ever give up Final Cut privileges ever again.
Yeah, it's all in the editing for sure. But it's interesting too, because I still think the fundamental of Dune 2 is still slow, but the moments that are fast and beautiful are they just completely outweigh like the slow pacing of the movie itself.
I didn't think it was slow at all. Dune 1 you could say that about, but like Dune 2 was like wall to wall, dude. I was fucking.
I watched it in 4DX and that shit was crazy, man.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like the shaking chairs?
No, okay.
It was so heavy, man.
That's insane. I think Dune 2 had phenomenal pacing, like phenomenal pacing. Maybe I just like the source material too much.
I mean, my favorite shot was literally a B-roll shot of when they were, I don't know, fuck the spoilers, but when they were fighting in the arena, there's like there's like one quick shot of just literally a millisecond of, I don't know who it was, but someone fully painted white. It was just 1 second. And I was like, that shot, if I were to have shot that as a music video, that would have been $10,000. And I'm like, fuck these people. They're so good at their job. It's ridiculous. Like, every single shot was so cinematic. It was gorgeous. It's an art piece in the grayscale.
All right, let's get back to the video.
Dialogue where we understand what Paul really means to Frank Herbert. What I did is that I transformed Shani's character. I made her more prominent. In the book, Shani kind of dissolve into the shadow of Paul. She's in the background. She's a believer. There's nothing special apart that she's a Paul lover. There was a strong opportunity there. A character that could help me to have a critical distance with Paul Atreides. I love witness people that are listening in corners, or you can just feel their presence without dialogue and understand what they are going through. And Zendaya is incredibly expressive with her eyes. And she brought that strength to the character that was required. I wanted to see in her the power of the youth and someone that wants to transform her world, that she doesn't believe in the old ways of seeing the world. And she's a free character. Through her eyes, we understand what Paul becomes and in which direction he goes, and which transformed the movie not into a celebration, but as Frank Herbert was wishing, more of a warning. Yeah.
I like that, because if it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for that juxtaposition, then you would think that like it is a white savior narrative and not one that is like critical of like the Messiah and white savior narratives in general. So I think like, and in spite of all that, people still took the wrong lessons from it and have been going off about it nonstop. There are people in my chat that like immediately after it was released coming in and being like, why do you like this movie so much? It's like a very classic, it's a very classic fucking white savior narrative once again, blah, 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 blah. Which, by the way, I don't even give a fuck. I liked Avatar too, James Cameron, not fucking, Avatar The Last Airbender. I love Avatar The Last Airbender, but the animated one. But people still refuse to recognize it.
The prep of part 2 was much more compressed than part 1 because I wanted the movie to come out as quickly as possible. It's not a sequel, it's a second part, so it was important for us to bring the movie quickly to the world. Now, saying this, there's a tremendous amount of R&D as we were doing part 1. We knew the vocabulary, we knew the design. There was something, we were on solid ground. But there's still some technical advancement that were made. And as in part 1, the eyes were done end by end, this time the software were designed so the AI was like a way to help us to bring the level of realism that I want. The eyes of part 2 are much more precise than what was made in part 1.
Yeah, the eyes are so beautiful in the movie.
Honorary Arab, bro. My goat.
I'm madly in love with a shot like that. When I was drawing storyboards sometimes.
Javier Bardem?
No, Timmy.
I don't really care about Timothy Charlemagne. I mean, he's fine, I think. I don't really know. I mean, I've never seen him in like something that requires like tremendous acting, so I can't speak on it.
There's
like,
supposedly...
I've never seen like Call Me By Your Name or some shit.
Yeah,
you know
that
I mean?
movie. I've heard that movie's incredible. Like,
yeah.
Unbelievable, but I haven't seen it either. Charlemagne, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Maybe that would change my assessment overall, but like...
Yeah, how was he in Wonka? Did you watch Wonka?
Fuck no. I've never even seen the original Willy Wonka though. Like I don't know anything about Willy Wonka. I just know he has a chocolate factory and there's like a fat kid who likes chocolate.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a really good movie. I mean, you know why?
Why?
Johnny Depp.
Oh. Johnny Depp is Willy Wonka?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that.
He does one, and then the other guys, I don't know the other guys.
You don't think Dune movies require a tremendous amount of acting? I mean, I think Timothy's role in it is definitely... Like, I think that there are people who outact him in every corner in that fucking movie. Like, he is supposed to be the main character, and I think, like...
Gene Wilder.
I think that... Oh, my God, everyone has so many opinions about Gene Wilder over or Johnny Depp. Jesus Christ. Okay. He was top 3 in the movie. You're crazy. Everybody shut the fuck up about Willy Wonka and Gene Wilder. I don't give a fuck, okay? You should be caring about the top of the hour ad break that's coming for you right now, bitches.
Yeah, I don't think the acting is that important in that movie. I think the plot, the set design, the costuming is fucking
like
crazy in that movie.
Acting in that movie is like maybe the 4th most important thing.
Yeah, it's like putting lettuce on a sandwich. It's like you don't need it, but it's adds
good.
to it.
It adds to the flavor.
But like the costuming and then the plot and the set decking that's the bun. Then we can put the meat in the bun.
I'm with Sam Udeki, we're just doing a line with a tiny dot. It's just like there's something about the purity. And it's probably linked with my childhood, where I was raised with an horizon with nothing around. But it's like there's something here about bringing back the human as its right scale in the landscape, like an ant in contact with the immensity, with the meditative impact of the desert that I think is very powerful.
Lower.
The sound here that it has been done is I asked Richard King to go back in the desert and to make sure that we will hear that specific sound of the hissing of the sand that sounds almost like a strange singing. I was very pleased with the sound, the crew that were able to bring back that specific sound that we were hearing all the time in the desert.
You know, they should have used the sand sound effect in Minecraft. Oh, that would be fire.
That
Doesn't
is something that happens in the novel.
Timothy Charlemagne.
But what happens after
Kylie Jenner.
That shit crazy.
Is what the movies bring to life.
I love this shit.
Here in the book, it's written that Paul rides the worm. It's very evasive about how a human being could jump on such a beast. I knew it will be a central scene, probably one of the most important scenes of the movie.
He did a really good job,
and I knew
like,
that
making it convincing, like how you can ride the worms.
If this scene was a success, I will have a movie. there's some description, of course, in the book, the maker hooks and the thumper. How precisely to bring that to the screen was like, I had to figure that out. And to create a kind of seminar for my crew where I taught them how to write a sandworm, and I explained to them how we will bring that to the screen. When I did so, there was a silence around the table because what I was asking for was like to bring a level of realism that will require a tremendous amount of time. I wanted to shoot everything on real sunlight. That was the key for the VFX.
In the book, it describes how one pulls the scale of the worm up to the sensitive skin, which the worm moves up away from in the sand, stops it from submerging. The movie shows this so beautifully and simply.
One pulse of the skin?
The book details how you actually manipulate the worm, but the book doesn't, I don't think, explain how you get on the worm to begin with.
I really love the tension that is brought by stillness, being in front of a still landscape. There's something here, to be honest, that was inspired by Jaws, the idea that what you don't see is more frightening. It's knowing that there's something underneath that might come soon. It's a lesson that I learned a long time ago from Spielberg. So the idea here is it's pretty simple. A Fremen, in order to ride a worm, will put a thumper at the lower side of the dune, stand on top, and wait for the worm to catch and get like that, and will eventually jump. But of course, it's the first time that Paul is riding a sandworm, so I had to find the right equilibrium, the right balance to show his skills, and in the same time, how difficult it is and how he risks his life. Having been in this desert in part one, I knew that there was those kinds of crater between sand dunes, those kind of vast, flat space. And I thought that a Fremen will use that flat space in order to be able to calculate the trajectory of the sand dunes. I was pleased to find the right one with the right sun position because we didn't use any artificial light in the desert shooting part two like we did in part one. It's like it brings a level of high realism and a feeling of a strong tactile sensation that you feel with the nature that I was looking for.
Yeah, that scene was crazy.
Again, I tried to shoot as much as possible on camera, meaning that the VFX would be blended inside the reality of the landscape. What I can say about
God, I love the sound so much. The sound design is out of control in this movie, dude.
This moment is how I was absolutely pleased with the sound design. It was important for me that the worm will not express itself like some kind of ancient dinosaurs or some kind of monster, but that the sound that it will emulate will be inspired by the friction of such a beast against the rock and the sand. You will feel almost like it's a bending building against the wind or something. The sound of a lake, frozen lake in winter in Canada, where you have like those eerie, incredible singing sound that I feel absolutely surreal, and I wanted to convey that kind of
I can't believe the best movie of the year came out in the beginning of the year.
I mean, I can. I feel like checks out.
Nature.
Dude, I feel like whenever Dune 3 comes out, it's going to be the best movie of the year.
Unpredictable. That feels very grounded.
Seems like you love the VFX and sound, but the story itself was meh. Wait, what? I never fucking. What would lead you to believe that?
I think it may be talking about me, but I think the story is great. It's just, I think the only thing I don't like about it is like, I would love to watch the first book in one movie. You know?
I don't think you can just like fit all of that, especially because like the first movie needs to set the lore and the universe, describe the different factions, different interests, like at play. So it's just like impossible to fit into one movie, which I think was a major problem with David Lynch's Dune as well. Like,
yeah, it's a 6-hour movie, but I mean, like, I'd still be down because I didn't want to leave the movie theater. I wanted it to keep going. I was content to do another 3 hours.
I do know what you mean by that, though. Yeah, I think like I don't know. I think you can watch like all 3 when he finishes the trilogy. You can watch all 3 in one row for like 12 hours.
Yeah.
In the reality of the image, but feels still as there's a connection with the surreal. Richard King absolutely nailed that.
Oh yeah, Alejandro Jodorowsky tried to adapt Dune as an 18-hour film. Check the trailer on YouTube. That's another thing that David Lynch also talked about, where the studio arrived at a runtime for them because like they looked and they saw that like the however long the movie was, David Lynch's movie was like the perfect length. Go over Jodorowsky's adaptation of Dune was such a fucking massive failure, obviously, that there was a documentary made about him trying to make this fucking thing and then and failing to do so, that that basically I think the fucking documentary won an award too, I think.
The idea was to convey the idea that Paul missed it.
Look at that shot.
The worm is not exactly where Paul intended it to be. There's like a gap between his position and the worm, and that to increase the fact that he's learning, he's about to miss his Uber, technically. All these shots have been made in a real landscape. I insisted that there will be no CG element here, apart from, of course, the worm. I wanted to create that feeling when you're beside a waterfall, the relationship that in the subconscious that it brings with death. This first part of the sequence has been shot in the desert in Abu Dhabi. The problem we were facing is that Greg Fraser and I wanted the worm to come in on the sunny side and get out on the shadow side. It sounds ridiculous, but there's not a lot of sand dunes because of the wind pattern in Abu Dhabi. The abrupt side of the sand dune don't face the right side in the right way. So we had to create our own sand dune in order to do that specific shot. There was sand dunes that were created according to the right sunlight. This is real until here, of course. The idea here is that man-made sand dune, and there is after that an set extension where the
I like Villeneuve's Dune, but it's cool, but his style is so bland. It's like really well-made blandness. That's insane, dude.
Yeah, that's a crazy take.
That is so.
I think Oops Lazy might be just saying that because it's probably the complete opposite of blandness. It might be the least bland thing I have ever seen in my life.
I think people are so fucking. They're just contrarian. They want to be like. They want to just say like something that people are appreciating sucks.
But I kind of fundamentally could understand that it's so far in the world of not bland that people could think it is bland because it's well done.
It's minimalist, and I think that they see
it's brutalist.
They see negative space and they go, I don't like it.
I mean, dude, Dune is kind of just like pushing Playboy Cardi further into the world of, you know, Balenciaga and all of these clothing lines just being incredibly popularized with like minimalism, brutalism.
The worm is getting out.
But I think we need Thanos to
come by far one of the most difficult shots I've done. The idea to have a stuntman running on a specific sand dune and at a perfect sunlight that will disappear, collapse, and where they were like.
Someone said the arena was so opium is true.
Dude, legit. This is what I'm saying. It's like, it's weird because I feel like this Rick Owens and all of those guys.
It was very vamp. It was so
vamp, dude.
It was vamp life for sure.
3 massive cylinders, giant cylinders. Each cylinders will pull by a truck.
This is crazy.
And the stunt was running this way, and the idea was to have, at the perfect timing, we had to pull those tubes under the sand dune in order to the sand dune to collapse. And the stunt needed to be to land perfectly at the right spot at the right time. And that we could only shoot early mornings because of the direction of the sunlight. And it sounds easy, but those trucks were massive trucks. And in order to find the proper speed over the course of many days, in order to arrive at the perfect timing that I was looking for, where we have actually saw a human being running and seeing the world collapsing under his feet, which I think is an absolutely nightmarish event.
Dude, the amount of work that goes into this one fucking scene,
as much realism as possible. When the trucks
That's
move forward
crazy.
one after the other, and after they were moving in a certain order, they were not moving all in the same time, but with a split second each other, so the collapse was progressive.
2093 is the soundtrack for Dune 2. Is this gonna be big?
Ladies and gentlemen of the gal.
You fucking asshole. You're a fucking dick. That's it. I'm hitting one of my fucking regulators in the Discord with a fucking
Boom.
one-day ban, dude.
Perma.
Fuck you.
Once the tube were gone,
It was a long time coming. Okay.
the stuntman was landing on mattress that were hidden under the sand.
That's insane, dude.
How did we do that? Quite simple in theory, but it was difficult in practice because I wanted, again, to shoot that all under natural light. I asked my production designer to create a gigantic platform, a reproduction. We tried to build the biggest platform possible with the sandworm skin. This platform will be on a gimbal.
That's crazy.
It's a machine that allows us to move the platform in one way.
It was a TikTok bait edit.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Gallery Gourmet, my name is
Paul Muad'Dib Atreides, Duke of Arrakis. I'm gonna see us on top.
Fly around the world, made to the game, push to a frame. I ain't gonna change. Tell me what else.
It's all right. Okay. The band still holds.
Or the other. The platform can modulate like that at different speed. It's something that is used action sequences in an airplane or sometimes for car accidents or things like that. But this time it was like a specific one that could move quite faster, and it required a lot of engineering from Gerd Nefzer, which is one of the best in the business regarding special effects. The way we did that is that we had like what they call the dog collar, and the gimbal was like here. And this was oriented according to sunlight. We were shooting each shot at specific moment of the day when the sun was specifically in the right direction. Each shot needed a specific programming in the platform to convey different moment of the worm ride. That was like one of the approach. The other one was on the building of the soundstage, we put the platform at different angles like that when the character is falling. We had also one platform that was like vertical like that with the gimbal that was used for the shot you're seeing here, where I wanted the character to lose contact with the platform, like as if the platform was falling. In order to do so, the platform goes from this to this angle, so the character will fall into the worm. And it's like a game with gravity that I was very excited to do, but that required my crew to work many days in order to find the right speed and the right angle. Make sure that the sandworm riding will be as edgy, as real. It will look dangerous, but also some kind of a feeling of heroism. And despite his clumsiness, that Paul will succeed, finally being one with the desert. That's this idea that Fremen have the ability to be in total harmony with the desert, and that it's like humans finding the right balance.
This is why it's ridiculous that But this is why it's ridiculous when motherfuckers are like, "Oh, AI is gonna make movies now."
Yeah,
it's like, dude,
I just read a note. I read that note and I was like, good point. You know, you have a cheaper movie and an infinitely better movie with just way better art. So yeah, it makes sense.
Like, there's just no way. Like, the amount of work, the amount of thought, the amount of like manpower that goes into like making that scene work is crazy. Like, there's no, I don't believe that like I do believe that AI is definitely going to become more and more prominent as a tool that eliminates some aspects, some of the tedious aspects of the process, the creative process, in a complementary way, as it is already in like Photoshop and whatnot. But to think that this will be like, to think that this will replace like all of the creative brain power that goes into making every single fucking aspect of this work and the way that it does to make you feel the things that you do feel, it's crazy.
Yeah, not in our lifetime, probably.
Yeah, and if it does, then Butlerian Jihad, baby, I'm on board.
And being in one, it's a very important moment in the book, and it's a fundamental moment in the movie. When we designed the sandworm skin in part 1 for Patrice Vermette, my production designer, and I, it was important that the sandworm will feel prehistoric, like that all the design of the worm will be in direct relationship with its environment, a bit like the way the novel was written, that you could.
Why use the term never? AI does not have to understand all these intricacies to replicate it, but that's all it will do, replicate things from a vast data set. Because it's not human. It can't be human. Like, the imperfections is what makes art great in many ways. This is not how it works.
There was this documentary I watched about you know, Go, like the Chinese board game.
Yeah.
So it's called like AlphaGo, this documentary, and essentially what they did is they coded this Go player, which is just like the robot, and then they brought the best Go players in to play, and their like IQ is so high, like they're arguably some of the smartest people in the world, and the basis is in a moment when the robot was playing against the smartest player in the world, the robot made an actual error, like a human error, is what they noticed. And this was 6 years ago. And I guess the basis of what their argument was is like AI can mess up. And if AI,
I think it's called hallucination when like ChatGPT does it, even though it's like not even, I mean, it's disputed if it's like even AI to begin with, or rather just like machine learning, I guess.
But yeah, the AI clapped him, but it's just interesting because it was like a Google documentary funded by Google. It was really, really well done, actually. But
worm skin felt a bit weird to me. It feels like it should have been smooth with how much friction there is with the sand. Yeah, I mean,
look, man, your worm skin might be smooth. Paul's worm skin, not smooth.
When AI makes too many teeth, it's a mistake, but when the human does it, it's art. Yes. Yes.
Uncut worm.
Explain from this biology how it feeds, how it evolves, how it lives under such harsh conditions, and it's a beast technically that lives under the sand at tremendous heat, and it's like we try to create the most believable being as possible, still having that kind of godlike quality to it that is so important for the Fremen psyche. In the book, we understand that a Fremen can ride a worm by exposing a sensitive part of its skin. The worm has like some scales, and when you lift one of them, you expose sensitive skin. The worm, trying to protect itself, will stay at the surface. I felt that it was not enough. I needed something to express to the audience that sense, that vulnerability. And I come with this idea of vents, part of this breathing system, that once exposed, you will understand that it's, the worm feels vulnerable this way. The platform was surrounded by massive fans. We were throwing an insane amount of dust on the stunts. Tons of dust were used in that sequence in order to...
Dude, this is my favorite part of Twitch streaming. Hi, does HasanAbi still advocate for COVID vaccination? like he's gonna get banned if he's not vaccinated.
Look at his name too. Mind game.
Yeah, he's here to play a mind game, dude.
I wanted really to feel that the character is going through waves of sand and disappear into the dust, and to feel that he has to master the elements. The action of sand riding involve a lot of violence and danger. My favorite moment in the movie where I wanted to bring some, again, heroism, but also a feeling of a sacred moment. That from the Fremen perspective, this will be one moment that will fulfill one of the elements of the prophecy, where a boy will be able to tame a giant sandworm, one of the biggest ever seen. A boy from the other world will be able to be in relationship with Shai Hulud. And that, I wanted that to be conveyed in the music. That feeling that something very special is happening, something almost sacred from the Fremen perspective. In order to convey that speed, the plates were shot with helicopters, but the character actually is shot with a long lens and a rig that goes at high speed in order to feel that instability on the character as if he was passing by. There's like a precise shift where we see that it will go from Paul being celebrated by the Fremen because he succeeded, obviously. But we will see from Shani's perspective, the Fremen will go from celebration to adoration. When I decided to make this adaptation of the novel, the first artist that I approached to help me to do so was Hans Zimmer. Hans is, like me, a massive fan of the novel. Hans gave me a warning. Is it a good idea to tackle your childhood dreams? Are we meant to fail? You cannot bring to the screen the full potential of the dream of the teenager.
Who talks like that, bro? Dude.
Real geniuses,
yeah,
dude.
You've never had a fucking line like that in your life. I haven't. I'm saying, like,
no, I mean, I'm a moron.
Like, motherfucker said, is it a good idea to tackle your dreams, like, of your childhood? It's
well,
like,
you know, he's probably broken English. He's like German, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably like, tackle dreams. Should we?
Like, that's an insane, like, who the fuck? What? I've never met a motherfucker that speaks like that in my life.
I feel like there's one dude. What's his name? The super gray-haired, big bearded music guy.
Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin. Yeah. That guy's a genius. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like Hans Zimmer is almost objectively maybe the best score and artist of our generation. I don't really know.
Yeah. Wait, what do you mean? Corny ass motherfucker? That is not corny at all. Yeah, I mean, the only guy I can think of is